Hello and welcome to Girl Awakening YouTube. I'm Jo Hendy.
And I'm Amanda Parker. Enjoy this episode of Girl Awakening in all of its vulnerable sacredness.
And remember to subscribe and share.
Good morning, Amanda.
Good morning.
Here we are, back on our lovely Wednesday podcast.
Yes, it's a gloomy day out there, but not in here in this space. It feels like a little bit of
sunshine.
Yeah, and we've been looking forward to speaking with this lady for a little while.
Yes.
And
we're lucky enough to have snatched her up today.
Yes.
Yeah.
And we're going to do something
a little different.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to change it up for our listeners and add another piece of wise advice for the moment.
Yeah.
Amanda and I have been following this beautiful person called Source Messages. He is a man. We don't know where he's from, but he does a message every day, and it's so appropriate for where we're at. So we thought we'd share it with our listeners. So I'm going to read today's one, which is: July is primed for affirmations becoming truth, dreams becoming reality. You're leveling up to meet the demands of this new phase of your life. You're choosing to forgive. You're honoring your emotions. You're prioritizing self-care. You're giving attention to the things that have been lingering. You're letting go of your old story and making space for the universe to deliver a new one. You're supporting your body. You're welcoming positive and freeing thoughts. You're transitioning your lows to highs. Enough of the back and forth. You know what you desire and deserve. It's all here for you. Yeah. So, as you would have just heard, he's always so spot on. It's always positive and beautiful, and
it sets an amazing intention and a space for the day, no matter what's going on. And like we find that happens with our podcast days, doesn't it? Because it's always such a gift to sit with our guests. So yeah, I think that's why sharing the source felt so right too.
So right.
Yeah.
Did you want to read this one out?
Oh, okay. Now we've talked enough amongst ourselves. Let's introduce our guest for the day, who's sitting very beautifully waiting for us. So Aroha is a mama to a vibrant and calm toddler. She loves to hold space for women. Aroha is a healer, a woman's circle facilitator, and a mama's life coach. She has 12 years experience coaching women and is a mama rising facilitator, full check level 1 holistic lifestyle coach, and a Reiki master. So Aroha is also the other half of the lady we've had previously on the podcast, Bree, and they're both co-founders of Nurtured Beginnings Online, which is an absolutely epic space, and is just before our very eyes, just expanding and offering so much to mamas on all levels. So welcome, Bree. Welcome, Aroha. You're two inseparable. Welcome, Aroha. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you for the invitation, beautiful ladies.
Yeah, it's so lovely to have you on and share your journey with our listeners and us. As always, the timing is always perfect. We've found, like Amanda said at the beginning, and I'm sure you understand, there's sometimes you just get up and you really don't want to go anywhere. You kind of just, and then, when you push yourself and you get out of your own way, there's beautiful gifts waiting right there for you. So we're going to jump straight in, Aroha, and ask you, how did your awakening begin?
Since we've been connecting, I've been thinking about this and like pulling together all of the pieces, because there's so many layers and it just rolls, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So I guess it began with me and my husband own 2 CrossFit gyms in Southwest Sydney. So it began with fitness.
I'm a CrossFit.
She's going to love you forever. She's like,
I can't believe you just said that. Oh, that's hilarious.
Sorry, keep going.
So I began training there myself and then wanted to become a coach. And I think through eating right, like eating healthy, and I went Lowtox. So being able to like detox my body, And there were certain circumstances, and my husband also kind of guided me to a few little things. But I think through that, it just allowed me to see things differently. And then, you know, you start going to workshops and you're being called to different people and healers, and your world starts opening up, your awareness starts opening up. And yeah, I started to like meditate and really just feel at one with even the ocean and the universe, and just like being able to feel more connected and just see a different perspective. It was almost like you have more space between you and the world, or you and your the way you perceive things. So yeah, I feel like it was through fitness, it was through food, it was through going Lowtox and being able to just be more in tune with what's going on, because I guess maybe it was filtered through the years of partying and drinking and all that sort of stuff that detaches you from that.
Beautiful.
true.
Yeah, what a
Mm.
beautiful like acknowledgement, I suppose, that you would just followed that natural path of detoxing and all that, and then you actually started to feel, I mean, different, but also feel the space, the energy that was starting to come in, which
Yeah.
you know, that in itself is almost like another area too. Like for those two to come together is quite amazing in itself.
Yeah, it's been quite a journey. And I guess I don't even know how these workshops, you know, you find these workshops or these healers that you get to. You just kind of, yeah, it's so divinely guided. Or you meet someone and they'll tell you, and it's like, this is what I've been searching for or asking for. And it just, yeah, appears in front of you.
Yeah, the beauty of space. Hey, we're talking a lot about that. When you start to expand and create some space around you through that avenue of either detoxing or whatever meditation, those people can drop in because they can feel the space around you.
Yeah, so true. You've cleared that, so it's allowing them to. Yeah. Beautiful.
Wow.
So how old were you when this started happening, Aroha? Like what you were sort of like, because you kind of jumped into like a relationship space and workspace, like what, you know, how, and then how that's kind of really been quite a catalyst for other things to then happen for
Yeah.
you. Yeah.
So me and my husband have been together since I think we were 21, 22. And then we went to London, traveled, and then came home, and he started his CrossFit gyms. And then I hassled him to work there. I think I was around like late 20s, which I'm now 38. So it's, yeah, it was probably 10 years ago. It's just evolved.
Yeah. Wow. And is the CrossFit still an important part for you?
I had a baby 2.5 years ago,
Yeah.
and the amount of energy that was required for him, it asked me to pull back. And I also just stepped more into my spirituality, more Reiki healings, more mother's circles, really went on my own journey of matrescence and just returning to that. Because when I became a mum, I felt really disconnected to, like, I couldn't read, I couldn't listen to a podcast. I just had no capacity for it. And yeah, it was about really connecting back to myself there. And then I've forgotten the question.
No, that's okay.
Yeah.
The reason why I asked,
big space.
yes, around the CrossFit or even exercise in itself, you know, it's like for a long time I used to put the two separate, like,
Yeah.
you know, that you could either be spiritual or you could be like athletic, you know. And I mean, I'm a big fan of Tia Claire Toomey. I'm not sure whether you know who she is. Yeah. And I
Crush too.
Oh,
double
girl crush. Like she is incredible. And I keep saying to Amanda, I've actually asked her to come on the podcast, but I know that, you know, like universe,
who knows?
but there has to be she's an incredible human. Like there has to be a spiritual aspect of her, maybe even an unconscious spiritual aspect of her that she doesn't even know that she's tapped into.
Yeah. I don't think she shares too much of that. I know Cara Webb shares a little bit of that. Yeah. But yeah, there's a few that evolve. You watch them and it's just, yeah, because we've been in it for like 14 years, I think. So I've been on that journey with them, watching them evolve as I've evolved.
Yeah.
So just for our listeners, like Joe could bang on about it forever, but would you like to share, like from your experience being in the industry, like what CrossFit is and what, you know, like how, you know, as an experience, even what CrossFit is about?
Yeah. So I guess some people call it a cult, but it's really a tight-knit community because, yeah, I guess they're on the outside of that community, right? But it's a varied fitness. So you've got, interval training, you've got Olympic lifting, you've got gymnastics, you've got like powerlifting, and every day is different. So you're stimulating every different energy system. You're combining weights with cardio. So you're really getting the best out of both worlds. There's different types of gyms. So some can be like, more competitive and people will be more highly athletic. And then there's other just general population, which is more what we do, just general population. People just, in high roles or, regular office jobs, and they just come to have an avenue to let it out and to do something for themselves. So yeah, it's started in America. So we've worked with different people in America. We've gone to the CrossFit Games twice in America, which was amazing. It's like a fitness festival and you drink beer and eat sweet potato fries and yeah.
But when you look at it from a perspective of like awareness,
So it's carbs, you've got to burn it off. It's
Oh.
lots of carbs. Burn it off.
it's a beautiful place for people to get back their mental health,
Yes. Yeah.
to have community, to be able to share experiences. It's like more than just what what we're talking about. There's so much more that goes on there. It's almost like a mental health club kind of thing.
Lots of people come to us when they're in their low, and then they're, come out of it 6 months later or a year later or a couple of years later, and they're like, when I came and found you guys, like I was at the lowest point of my life. My wife just left me, blah, 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 blah. Like, and so, yeah, they come and they find themselves and they get connected to community and others, and they just feel like they're a part of something, and it just, uplifts everyone.
Yeah.
Was there any part of that then opened your eyes up to being the women's facilitator, the circle facilitator, all of those things? Do you feel like that was already sitting there waiting to be born in you through that avenue?
I think it made it easier because I don't mind speaking to groups of people, whereas before I was so quiet and I'd start the class like this, and it allowed me to, one of my things that I've healed over the years is being able to speak my truth, being able to be seen. So there have been really big things for me to be able to, talk freely about what's on my heart or what I think. So definitely helped push me in that way. But like you said, there is, I've only probably this year and last year, I've allowed myself the spiritual and the fitness to merge because I do love deadlifts and I do love meditating. And
That's so cool. I love that, and it gives so many people permission to be able to do that as well, because like I said, I was very torn, could I still do my Pilates or my gym work, all of that, and then still come in here and sit in this still space, this quiet space, and be able to sit in the heart space as well. Yes, we are capable of doing all of it.
So I think we like to have a box, and we like to, if CrossFitters, typically they've got high socks, they've got booty shorts, they've got a bit of chalk on their legs or somewhere on their body from, weightlifting. They've, you can look at a CrossFitter, you look at someone in the army and you can tell that they're in that, activity, and we box people in, and it's, I think it went in the shadows when I had a baby because I didn't have the capacity to open and hold space for the people or that old life. And I just tried to allow for new, and then, but it's a tricky one. But I did get messages after I've been posting about allowing these identities to merge, saying it gives me permission to be, a chameleon and be multifaceted as a woman, as a mother, as a human.
So beautiful.
I think that's a very powerful point, Aroha, because the reason why I wanted you to share around what CrossFit is because, for me, it always seemed like a very high functioning space, and not necessarily that you have to be incredibly smart or anything like that, but because of the level of input that you have in that space and how you're present, and you're really giving everything you've got in that space. And then I think to then move to having a baby, even being pregnancy and what's going on in your body then, and and in that mothering space, it would be quite a difficult thing to be in both of those spaces at once, which is why Tia's kind of quite a freak of nature in a way, and obviously she has a space in herself the way she does that, but to kind of allow yourself, as you say, that fullness of both experiences and then actually go, okay, well, I can integrate all these different parts of me and be multifaceted. That's an incredible giving of permission and recognizing of what really, is fulfilling for you too, not denying yourself cake, so to speak.
Yeah, it's been quite a journey though. Like it hasn't been easy to get to this space.
Yep. Place, pace, space. It's all the one. That's so beautiful. I want to ask another question just around back into this area of awakening and awareness and shift and all of that. Is when did you first notice a shift around your thoughts of the world, like that things weren't as they seemed?
Oh. A fair few years into my journey.
Yeah. What was the first thing that you noticed that wasn't as it seemed? Like I'll give you an example. For me, it was around, let's just say, the news. I grew up, coming home and parents putting the news on the TV, and it was like I believed everything that I was listening to, because I suppose I was just told that was the truth. And then one day waking up and going, I don't know, that doesn't feel too good. Or even realizing later down the track that I hated watching the news full stop anyway. So that was my first sign that I just ignored. Yeah.
It wasn't a have to.
Don't watch the news either. My mum's always like, did you see this? I'm like, nope.
Yep.
I'm in my happy little sphere. Like,
yes. And I know you talked about detoxing your body lately. So what was around that? Like what, did you start to feel that there was shit in the food or that you just wanted to do something? I don't know.
I think that when you're a CrossFit coach, you go into wanting to know more, what I wanted to know more about nutrition and what's in our food, and going down grass-fed avenues and like chemical-free, pesticide-free, etc. And I think we have done little detoxes and tried different things, but I really feel like it's just a whole food approach to, and that's what feels good for me. And, you feel good when you eat protein with every meal, and, you feel clear and energetic. And when I don't, that's when I feel like tired and sluggish and not clear, not excited for life, just dull, and I don't know what the word is, not energetic. But yeah, I feel like
just when did you first notice a shift in your thoughts about the world?
Okay. I don't know. I think it's a collective acknowledgement, and it's even just, I remember sitting on the ocean one time, and it was just, I was sitting there and I felt at one with the ocean and the animals, and I just started to have this new appreciation for life. And it's like, we are so small in the scheme of everything, like, and everything keeps on going and growing, and everything's been here and has so much wisdom, and we're just, I just was like I just could feel like the different conscious awareness of the sea and like where I was at. And I just decided to start doing more like beach cleans. I'd organize beach cleans with my friends and things, but it was just, it's slowly this just wild awareness of connecting with the earth's consciousness. And but I can't tell you like a time frame or
no, that's beautiful. And the aspect of that came with that was wanting to look after it.
And I think it's also with people as well. I think the news leads us to be in fear and anxiety and judgment and all that sort of stuff. And then when you start to awaken, you start to move from a different place. Instead of, if someone's not talking to you or responding, and instead of getting cranky or building up those thoughts in your head, you then, are you okay? Like, what's going on for you? Changing that and just realizing that something's going on for them and it's not about you. So it's just been a slow journey.
No, absolutely, I'm hearing you.
So for me, what I'm hearing is the more space that you create around you, the more you move into this part of yourself that is the healer and the facilitator, that's kind of being tucked away underneath this action person. And Like, what were you like as a teenager? Were you kind of like, were you were you one of the girls that was like, you know, popular, or were you like watching all the watching things and just sort of like observing and learning kind of thing? How would you share it yourself as a teenager?
I was a rat bag.
I didn't want to put it out there, but I had a feeling.
I love that word. Oh, I love it.
I was rebellious, but I wasn't not popular, but I wasn't the most popular girl in school. I'd say, you know, yeah, average. But yeah, I wanted to rebel against all the rules and, you know, smoke at the back of the tennis courts and
Yeah. Me too. Me too. Like I think that's the beauty of is it introspect or retrospect? Hindsight.
Yeah.
Is that I've got to a stage now where I can look back at all those things and laugh at myself and go, wow, how's what I was doing because I didn't want to be part of the normal, you know. I wanted to experience everything.
Yeah. I think it also helps you, like, for drinking and alcohol and smoking and all that sort of stuff, it's almost like a teenage rite of passage. It's like you're trying to find yourself, but you're so lost with all the hormones and this new, you know, the other sex or, you know, the same sex, whatever's going on for you. But, you know, and then you have to go to uni and make these really big decisions. It's like you find these things that kind of take you away from yourself. We're not really taught in our culture to, you know, connect within and to do that. And then, yeah, you end up going on this wild journey and slowly finding yourself later on and going like, oh my God, like I'm Lowtox now, wouldn't touch a cigarette, wouldn't allow any of that in. And now, you know, but witnessing where I was in that journey and really just honoring her and kind of feeling sorry for herself as well. Like, you know, just watching how much she used to drink and try and fit in, but was never accepted by those people because they can't accept themselves. Like, it's just, yeah, they're just parallel worlds, aren't they?
They are.
It's a big experiment, really, isn't it? We're just kind of like, we don't realize that we're just experimenting. My son actually had a way of describing it, was he was gathering experiences.
Yeah.
And I thought, wow, I wish I knew that's what I was doing.
It's so true. It's like, and I think a lot of women, well, just for our listeners' sake, and men, you know, need to let themselves off the hook of that too, you know, because it is just an experience and we are just trying to work our way through. And there's no right or wrong. It's, you know, we just got to at some stage accept that that's what we did and how we played it. Yeah. Did you want to ask that one?
Yeah. So what kind of things have happened or are happening to you and that we can say happening for you, Aroha?
Right now.
Yeah.
However.
Whenever.
Like you said in that message, the source message, it was like, I feel like this is a time of like everything's been integrated and I'm really like more clear, especially the last few days, in who I want to be moving forward, how I want to be seen and what steps and things I need to be doing to get there or post on social media or, you know, change my label or so I feel like, yeah, there's lots of clarity. Whereas, you know, last week I was just messaging Brie and I'm like, Brie, I can't focus on nurture beginnings this week because I just don't feel like my head's there. I'm not in that space at the moment. I just need to let everything land. It feels really fuzzy and messy. But this week it's all clear and much more clarity. And yeah, it feels like I'm going to be starting to walk uphill, like, with what I'm doing. I'm just allowing the fitness and the spiritual to merge for me personally at the moment and offering, you know, maybe weight loss, but also spiritual mentoring combined. So I don't know really what that looks like, but I recognized along my journey that our self-worth has a lot to do with being worthy to eat good, to fuel our body right, to exercise, to, you know, have the right relationships, all the things. And so it's allowing and helping women to see that and to build that and to give them mantras or to, you know, do inner child work or whatever we need to do so that we can then deserve the food and the weight loss and to look good and to feel good in our bodies and to be embodied. So that's where I'm heading. I don't know exactly what it looks like, but yeah, that's what's kind of being downloaded and I'm going through at the moment with that.
Oh, I
It's
love the
powerful,
sound of that.
yeah.
You know, it's so funny how, you know, everything's always happening for us, around us.
Yeah.
A friend of mine just told me yesterday about the workout witch. That's her name. How wild is that?
Yeah.
And she does what you're talking about, but more subtle. Like she's more somatic, like stretching and stuff like that can open up pathways. But I think what you're talking about is exactly the same.
Where the two coming together, of,
yeah.
you know, integrating, you know, the spiritual with the fitness and with the physical awareness, is, you know, is in balance and harmony with the spiritual and emotional awareness. Because what you were sharing before around the CrossFit, like that whole cathartic space of, you know, you go for a run, you blow out the cobwebs, like moving into the CrossFit space, you come in and you an amazing workout, you come back into that feeling of being in your body, you're out of your head, you know, probably released a whole lot of like lovely chemicals in your body that help you feel that you can cope with the broken heart or the, you know, the moving house or job transition or just that you had a shit day kind of thing. But to have that level that you were talking around of understanding those extra tools.
Yeah, I think even for mothers, like, because mothers we don't prioritize ourselves. Like, our time is so much more minimal for ourselves. But yeah, I think also changing that narrative.
Yeah, the stories that we build up around things, or others, even other people's stories. It's like, I feel like we're breaking down a lot of those and just coming more into, what do I want? What can I give? What's my gift? What's my unique way of seeing things? And changing the narrative and changing the storyline of even motherhood.
I think motherhood allows you to do that too, because you have less energy, you have less time. Like, you really need to trim your branches and like, you know, focus and redirect your energy into what lights you up and what you need, or more your soul's purpose.
And not miss the little lessons that are there every day that your little teacher is there in front of you sharing with you.
We had one at 3:30 a.m. this morning.
Excellent.
How old is your little one?
He's 3 in October.
Oh, what a beautiful age. Yeah, that's really lovely.
Can I just ask while we're on this, because I feel like it's connected to what you're just sharing, like that, the Lowtox diet. So I'm feeling like it's kind of self-explanatory, but there's also a lot more to it. How would you explain or share what a Lowtox diet is?
Oh, I guess like Lowtox, like I've gone Lowtox with all my chemical products and stuff at home, but with regards to diet, it's just eating like more organic food, so you're not getting the pesticides and the sprays. Or I've just also bought some unvaccinated chicken eggs.
Unvaccinated. Wow.
Yeah.
Isn't it sad that they have to even say that?
Yeah. Well, it's local, and I guess it's in the little world that I'm in, but so it's not necessarily advertised, but
Yes, no, it's a bit like the bath milk at the markets.
yeah.
Oh, that's fantastic. So I love that you're talking around it being, because like the EWG, the Environmental Working Group, talks around like how many chemicals we're exposed to in a day, and it's hundreds. It's not one or two, it's hundreds, but before you even walk out of your house. So when you're talking about Lowtox, you're actually talking holistically, like with what you're putting on your body, how you're cleaning your house, body, all those things.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
I was a doTERRA advocate, and I like with also my Paul Chek certificate, and I did Alex Stewart's Lowtox course. She's an Aussie chick in Sydney, but yeah, it's wild. Like, even in the paint in your room, or the spray that they put on your mattresses, and the chemicals that are in your laundry detergent, like, we're in it, we're eating it, so it's absolutely everywhere, let alone what's in our air and the stuff that we can't control. So yeah, I go Lowtox as much as I can in my home, as much as sometimes you can't, and it took me the years to kind of let go of that, because again, you box yourself in, you need to have everything. I need to have everything Lowtox, or else I'm not accepted into that group.
Talking OCD here, Aroha.
Yeah, maybe.
It's like small steps. I know I read just the other day about aluminium foil, and I use a lot of aluminium foil. And now it's just like I'm conscious about, oh my goodness, that apparently there's so much that comes out of it. And I was totally unaware of that.
But it's like also being conscious of it and maybe reducing it, but also not allowing it to scare you, because it can be this, this dance of
Yeah.
like it's suffocating. It's like, oh, I can't use foil. What do I use? Like, oh, I want to save.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Baking paper or just the tray, clean the tray.
Or just, but also prioritizing,
Yeah.
what is the thing that's going to, like, a facial moisturizer compared to the aluminium foil? What is, the worst thing here? Well, my face moisturizer probably could be an
Change
organic or something like that. Yeah.
There's so much out there now. There's so many brands and websites that do this as well. It's just finding what works for you and trying a few things out, which is a bit scary, I think. It's not going to work. Natural's not as good, but these days it's changed so much.
It's a big lot of BS. Natural, it works. And it's all the other stories that are being built on top of that to sell you more things that promise more stuff. And it's like with the health system, something to fix me now today so I can go to work and do all the things. Well, actually, maybe you're meant to have a day at home and rest and have some herbs and some teas and things like that, and let your body detox or cleanse, and then you can go back to work in a day or two, and feel better, not feel still like crap, but pushing on. There's all
like
that.
we want an external pill, to make us feel better and to keep that whole masculine energy, right? We want to take that pill and like keep on going to work and keep charging through, because we need to go to work and we need to do the things and we need to be successful and we need to be validated. And I'm for the herbs and the teas and the resting.
So
beautiful. No, that's so true. So that's kind of also leads on to the next question, is what have you decided to change, if anything, which I imagine we've already kind of covered that you have changed quite a lot simply by nature of following what's lit your fire.
Yeah, I don't know what else I can change, or I think at the moment it's also like honoring again that mother energy and that mother like the things that you need. I think becoming a mum has really shown me that I need to be held by my friends, and so and even family, and asking for help. So just changing where I spend my energy, and what friendships I give energy to, because some don't serve me as I need in this era of my life.
I know you mentioned before about speaking your truth. That's one thing that you've learnt to do more of. How does that look for you, and how has that shifted anything for you? Has it given you more self-worth?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
You can own it. And I've always wanted to tell my stories about how I get somewhere. What I had to go through, what perspective I had, and then now what perspective I see, or, how I did it, or, what things so other people can witness that. And I guess it also gives them that permission slip as well, which is so wild that we need that permission slip. I don't understand that, but I've done it many times. And I think it goes back to, not when I was a baby, my mum sleep trained me. And so my cries were heard, but my cries were ignored. So, from a very young age, I was taught to self-silence in a way. And as women, we self-silence a lot. We, I think more for the older generations, sit there, sit still, don't talk, be quiet. Or so all of this is ingrained, and that's something that I've healed. And it does allow you can ask for what you want. You can say what you need. Whereas without being able to speak your truth, you're suppressed, you're boxed in, you're closed, you're contracted.
Yeah, you're compromising, isn't it? Like you're kind of, I was reading something, Jane Hardwick Collins, who has this amazing, hard to describe really what she does, but she's pretty amazing. And she was just talking around menopause, and she was saying like at menopause, because we're like if we look at our life as seasons, and in menopause we're in our autumn phase, we go back to the 0 to 25 and reflect on ourselves in that spring phase. And just what you're sharing around, like the self-silencing and things like that, or all those experiences carry so much weight all through our lives. And in menopause, a lot of us struggle, a lot of women can struggle because there's so much compromise and so much shoving it down or not seeing or not speaking their truth. And it all comes up because the body just wants to move on into a different space. The soul wants to move on to a different space. And I think what you just shared then is like one of the biggest self-honoring gifts that we can have by one, not suppressing that truth, because that just opens us up to being, you know, so much more all through our lives. And then as we change in these different times, like motherhood or, you know, the matrescence, as you shared before, that experience, there's so many gifts in there that we can just not receive because we're stuck in certain programs or
Yeah, I follow Jane. She's actually like a midwife, but also a shamanic, healer, I guess. But they also talk about, or she also talks about, and I work with another woman that she has learned from her, Brioni, in our area. She's a shamanic birth keeper. And we interviewed her on our podcast, and she talks about how you experience your first bleed and your first period and how that's received. And most of the time it's like you're behind a closed door. Here's some pads, love. Like, here you go. We're not honored. It's not honoring this powerful thing that allows us to have babies, and, you know, we're cyclical, like allowing us to go through our own cycle each month, you know, our own autumn, our own winter, our own summer. I feel like that's changing a lot. The awareness and education is changing a lot. But then how that experience, so if we're fed pads through the door and told, here you go, love, you know, and it's quietened down and it's shamed and you don't feel like you can ask questions, how that rears its head in the birth portal, how you feel like you need to suppress how you feel. You don't feel like you can ask for help. You don't feel like you feel shame around showing your body and all these other things. So how that flow on from these things that happen in our life, then, you know, then you go on to menopause and then you still like, you know, introverted, oh, something's wrong with me, or I've, you know, finally gotten rid of my period. And, you know, but there's so many beautiful aspects of each of these things that happen to us as women that our society doesn't value, but it does. Yeah, there's more education evolving and being shared around it.
Oh, absolutely. So true.
Do you feel like, say, coming from a very physical space, like say the CrossFit space, where you have this, you know, amazing relationship with your body and the physical skills that you're able to develop and experience, and then say moving into this spiritual side of things where, you know, you have this nature and seasonal cyclical connection, do you feel like what you're doing now with what you're developing with your skills, do you feel like you have a language to communicate the two?
Yeah.
Connect the two?
Yeah. And I think like even just like if someone has an injury, it's like, what is their body holding or what is the body telling you? And I think for average people in the gym, some of them don't want to hear that, but then there's others that, you know, tell me, Aroha, like, what are you thinking? They kind of know that I'm a bit strange.
Woo-woo.
Very. And yeah, and I think you also attract your own people that are going to need that, or they're starting to clue on or be more, you know, more open and aware of, oh, like that really resonates with me, or that really rings true to me. So yeah, but in the fitness world, it's some of it's keep charging and push through, and, you know, I'll see the physio and worry about that later. And
yeah, it's such a fine line, isn't it? Because you're there because you want a healthy body, but there's also an ego there that wants to take over a lot of the time. And you know, are we putting that aside? I know there's a couple of my Pilates teachers who are very open, and, you know, the first thing they say when we get into class is set an intention and thank your body. And it's like, my whole body changes when she says that to me, you know, and then the next teacher is like, okay, we're going to have, you know, a hardcore workout. And it's like, and I love that too. Like, but it's getting the whole spectrum of it and not just having it one way, which I think is, you know, where you're headed and what you're maybe going to create. Integrating the whole thing is where we're headed as I think as souls as well. You know, we're coming into this new earth of being extremely grounded and appreciating the experience of being on this earth, but also bringing in and being open to the downloads and the shifts and changes in our spiritual body as well. So I think we are coming into a space where we're integrating all of it together, being grounded but being open, and you know, creating space and all of those things. And I feel like you're really onto it. I feel like that's the area we're moving into.
I think it's hard, like, you to fit into like a regular society and, you know, the 9 to 5 and then trying to train, and like it can be really hard to kind of find that ground. But yeah, just giving yourself grace for where you're at, or, you know, slowing down when you need to, and
integrating it all.
For this to be, for it to be normal, I think is what's exciting, for it to be becoming more familiar to people. I think that's what feels very exciting.
So I remember, like, I've coached CrossFit, and in CrossFit you'll be like, oh, straighten your back, do this, like go harder, pick up the ball, go heavier, whatever. And then I would do yoga, and they're like don't judge what the other person's doing next to you, and don't judge what your ability is today, because, you know, you just focus on what you can do where you're at today. And then I take that into my teaching and into my, it's such polar opposites of, you know, yoga is more internal and a journey, whereas CrossFit, you're being told what to do or what you're not doing, right? So yeah, kind of marrying those both. And I'm cheeky, I'll still, you know, say let's go up or let's go down, but it's also, you know, recognizing and teaching people like, no, that doesn't actually look that good, or, you know, maybe we should pull back the weight or pull back the speed because we're here for the long game.
Yeah, I love that.
But it's also relatable, isn't it? When we look at it like that, it's also relatable.
Did you find, just on that note, with like crossing your modalities, did you find your self-talk got a bit kinder?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
It's not to judge what you aren't doing. It's just honoring, you know, okay, my grandma died 2 weeks ago. I'm still, you know, not feeling great. I'm just going to, you know, I've got my period and whatever. I'm just going to honor where I am today and just move because it makes me feel a little bit better.
Yeah. So true. So true.
That's a gift. Yeah.
I have a husband who's he's half whale, I'm sure of it. And when he doesn't get in the ocean, he's a different person. So it's like when he's feeling a little bit off, I'm like, go and have a swim.
Go get wet.
Go get wet. I know you're going to feel better as soon as you get the. It's the same thing. It's like, you know, whether it's exercise, swimming, meditating, all of those things, it just changes the energetics of the body. It's it has a huge effect on us.
What I hear you saying to Aroha is like recognizing our medicine. Yeah.
We live by the beach, and for me, my medicine as well is like, so my son woke up this morning at 3:30. I put him back to sleep and I ran downstairs and did my breath work and meditation, because if I don't do that, I'm not the mum that I want to be. Like, I'm cranky, I react, I yell, and like, yeah, it happens, but I'm more calm and there's more space created between me and my reactions and my son. If I do meditate and make time for that, and then training as well, like if I can.
So true. So true.
That's gorgeous.
Let me move on to the next question. So, this is a good one. So we have noticed a big shift in awareness in the world around self-worth and feelings of self-value. How does this energy sit with you in your life and in your awakening, or not necessarily in your awakening, but just in your life?
Massive.
Yeah.
I didn't value myself, and that's why I used to drink and smoke and party, and then it slowly started to develop. And I remember meeting my husband. I used to, like, you know, I didn't have a relationship for a long time, and then I met him, and he was like, you know, opening the door for me, and you know, walking on the roadside when we'd walk along the footpath. I'm just like, oh, this feels weird. Like, who is this person? And then it took me probably 6 months to allow me to have a relationship with him and to feel deserving of allowing him and to allowing that level of human to come into my life, because that felt really foreign for me. But yeah, without that self-worth and working on that, like we only, the energetics we meet, we receive what we're what energetics we hold, right? So if we're not feeling worthy of receiving love, we're going to call in shit bags. Like
Bag's good.
toxic relationships. We're going to keep repeating those patterns, and it's not until we start working and start elevating our own consciousness, our own self-worth, choosing ourselves to meditate. So we're, that's just a tiny little notch up in that self-worth. And then also, like, if we're wanting to have a beautiful house or live by the ocean, that's also self-worth. Like, if we don't think we're deserving of that, we're never going to get it.
Yeah.
So it's such a big, huge thing for manifestation, for, like, I think the health of the earth, because if we're not love, worthy of self, then we're going to keep treating each other poorly. We're going to treat ourselves poorly. We're going to treat our health poorly, which means we're going to treat the earth poorly. So yeah, it's it can be challenging to work on, but there's little steps, and even just doing self-care, it's really, acts of self-love, and
Yeah.
slowly change.
I'm hearing what you're saying. It's back to that, everything's a reflection. So, you just have to look outside of your surroundings and like who you've got in your life and how are they treating you to then understand your level of worth. Which, it seems when you are aware of that and conscious of that, it seems very easy, but there are a lot of people out there that don't understand the concept of, what energy we put out, we get back, or that reflection, that everybody's a reflection and everything's happening for us. It can be quite confronting for some people. So it's, that's an awakening in itself, just understanding that one.
I think we also, as a society, we kind of put it on other people, or it's like, oh, it's your fault. Like, it's not my fault. Like, there's a lot of responsibility taking and healing that you have to do to be able to go, yeah, letting that go and being able to step into your own self-worth or your own truth.
True. So with how was on that level, how was when you did that? Because I want to ask two questions. One, what is Paul Chek facilitating? And we'll ask what that is first, and then we'll ask about the next one. So what is Paul Chek facilitating?
Paul Chek, he is a guy in America who believes in energetics and, walking on the earth and charging his water. And yeah, he's got like that next level of awareness, but it was also through fitness. So he was a fitness instructor. But he healed and evolved. And I think a lot of people in the fitness industry, you do tend to awaken and start to go down that avenue. You realize that there's more than just the physical self, and then you start to go, yeah, there's more than just weight loss. Like, why am I not losing weight, or why is it easier sometimes and why is it not easier? He talks about the spiritual aspects of healthy lifestyle. He talks about the chemicals. He talks about the quality of your water and how that affects you, or even the consciousness of water. So he has a podcast called 4D where he interviews healers and various people in about shadow work and all that sort of stuff. So he created this book called, can't remember what it is, but I can give it to you to pop in the show notes. I think it's Healthy Life or something. Literally in the next room, but we gave it to all of our coaches when they started to coach with us, just so they had an understanding of, like, there's a graph in there, for example, of the different poos, like when you go to the toilet. But it's just that awareness of the body and different exercises and different foods and different diets. So he encompasses everything holistically. Yeah, so he creates courses and practitioner courses as well. So some people, it's like there's a questionnaire to be able to work out whether your gut's needing some more attention, or there's interlinking things with your answers and solutions that we can provide as practitioners for Paul Chek.
Brilliant. So just reading all the signs. I love that, with the shadow work, like the poo graph could really come in handy there.
Letting go of your shit. Taking a look at your shit. Letting it go.
But because the second part of that question that I wanted to say was like, which kind of, that's beautiful, like to move into relating to your clients, but also the world around you in this way that Paul's technology that Paul's created. But Reiki, how was that when you started to do Reiki? Because I'm getting a sense like this, you know, this fireball that is Aroha, but also this spiritual being. And like, how was that as an experience for you when you first experienced Reiki and then decided to become a Reiki master, that process?
It's a very big question. So when I approached my teacher, my first master, I've had two, I said to her, I feel like I know how to do this, but I don't know how to do it in this life. And it just felt very natural to do. But so in the attunement, you sit there and they write symbols over you and you're just kind of meditating, I guess. And I felt like hands kind of touching me in this attunement. And I'm like, did you touch me here? And she's like, no. Oh, okay. So there was other people or spirits facilitating in that attunement. And then my awareness started to grow, my consciousness started, it just like it propels things, that awareness. And then I ended up doing my level 2 with her and then completed my master's with someone else. So she reattuned me, but I just felt drawn to someone else for various reasons. And now I'll do Reiki. I do lots of distance Reiki. So people will sit in their own home and I'll send them a little meditation. I can tune into people's energy. I can see what they need. I feel in my body, or I'm told, you know, they feel abandoned. So then, you know, helping them to feel that or let go of that, or to feel wrapped up in love and to feel safe and connected to, you know, source or to the earth. I feel where they feel pain. I feel restricted if they are holding on to something. So it's evolved. And like I remember sitting at Bondi Beach and I'm like, oh, Akashic records, and I want to open up to everything. I want to be able to see spirits. And it's like it hasn't exactly progressed to being able to see them. I can hear them, I can feel them, I can, you know, I get downloads or messages. But yeah, you'll only be opened up to what you can handle, I guess. So I'm still on my journey, but it's still like I wouldn't have believed what I can do or feel or see or experience, you know, 10 years ago.
Yeah.
I'm laughing about you sitting on Bondi Beach which is an absolutely epic place, but the number of entities that must have been just sitting there going, oh yay, let's jump in there. Oh, and let's have some fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, wow.
Someone was protecting you then.
Yeah. And I've since learned how to protect myself and cleanse myself. So
yeah, that's a big one, isn't it? There's so many is a big one when you start to become more open, and you know, opening your channels for the greater good, but not necessarily what others out there hanging around. Yeah, you have to be aware of that, definitely. What do you do now to support yourself for staying in the moment?
I think my meditation and my breath work in the morning helps me stay more in the moment, but also I'm really terrible with that at the moment. I reach for my phone a lot.
Yeah.
I think my son brings me into being present because he'll like, you know, play and I'll be like just curious about what he does, like being curious about what's happening or the earth around you, or, you know, walking on the beach and just being curious about the rocks, being able to, yeah, that's probably curiosity. It would keep me present in that moment. But yeah, I'm also doing a terrible job of being present sometimes.
Do you feel like, because like say with example, like because we've been experiencing a lot with just some of our energy that we've been aware of as well in the last few weeks, like there's this bit of a void space, and what you were describing about the fuzzy energy last week.
Yeah.
Do you feel like in these moments, like say the reaching for the phone, it's almost like a bit of a chocolate kind of thing, you know, like just a little distraction from all the things that are going on?
Yeah. And I think it does feel like that. And like I think I don't know if you've ever watched that documentary about Facebook and the internet, how they do just like make you work on your dopamine responses and the ads and things, and how they've like created it. But I think it's also like my brain is just always thinking of things of how I can be helping and nurtured beginnings and serving women and holding space. And I'm just like, my brain's just always ticking over, that I feel like I sometimes can't be with my son. But I'm basically, my son goes to daycare 2 days a week. So most of my time is spent with him. So sometimes you just like, I feel bad because I'm thinking about other things and I'm not being present with him, if that makes sense.
I think it's a very common thing. I think
Yeah.
most mothers would share that sentiment around when they're at work, they can't stop thinking about their child. When they're with their child, they're thinking about all the other things. And it's like that, it's just that it's a mechanism of distraction, overcompensating, doing too much, trying to be all things all at once. And, where I think you mentioned in the beginning of being present in our moment is sometimes the hardest thing to be. Yeah. So do you practice Reiki on your son? Do you find that comes a little bit?
Yeah, and I'll also do it like if I know, he's in his cot, I'll also just picture him and send it to him, while he's lying there sleeping. But yeah, I do.
Beautiful. Yeah, it's I think so. On this note of like what we've kind of gone into now with like being distracted, where we are is this so with Nurtured Beginnings, because you're doing some amazing things in this space with Bree. You're kind of putting your own real life experiences into there as well as your career and facilitator experiences.
Yeah, it's wanting to hold women in that phase of their life. Like, it's such a beautiful phase. So to really just nurture them and allow them to nurture themselves. But how can we speak better to women to say, like, slow down and be held because this is what you need and you deserve, you're worthy of.
Yeah, I was reflecting when you were sharing before when we were talking about Jane with the phases of our life, like often, with say birthing experiences and things, there's like you offer a lot of information around that pregnancy and leading up to the birthing experience as well as the postpartum. But I noticed there's a lot of kind of preparation to birthing that involves things like say having a pedicure because the feet down that end and things like that, which no judgment at all. Obviously you just want to feel amazing and it's a full goddess experience, all of those things. Do what feels right, but sometimes there's a lack of awareness around what your body's actually going to be doing in that space as well. So it's kind of, even the number of babies that are born every minute, there's still a lot for women to receive in this space, isn't it?
Yeah, there's lots of, I think when we interviewed Brioni, she's like, you get the birth, you don't get the birth you want, you get the birth you need.
Yeah.
So whether you choose to listen to the lessons that come up through that.
Yeah. That's so yeah. When you can look back, and for myself, it was a very long time ago that I birthed my two kids, and it was just in a hospital, and it was very sterile and very I literally just kind of hands up handed my sovereignty over to the people that I thought knew best. And look, I had two amazing births, but I could have been more in control of it if I had been open to that. Where these days I've got grandchildren now, and I watch the daughters go through the process of doing everything the way they want it done, and it's so empowering and so beautiful. And like literally, I remember I actually birthed my daughter where the doctor said you can pull your daughter out, and I reached down and pulled her out, and that was miraculous in itself, the way that happened. But now that's a normal occurrence in these times that we live in for the mother to birth the child. And I just like go, oh my God, that's so amazing that the power is so back in the mother's hands and every part of it. And that if she wants no one in the room, she can have no one in the room. Once upon a time, you weren't able to have that. You had to have like the midwife, or not necessarily the doctor, but the midwife in the space. And you didn't get to a choice of the midwife. You maybe met her the morning of the birthing process. Like it's all just shifted so much, and it's so beautiful in that space. And when we look at that, when you just said before about your mother choosing the crying, let the baby cry, it's like it's taking back all power back to the mother, instead of the midwife saying, this is the way
it's done.
it's done. You know, it's like, no, that doesn't feel right to me. I want to do it this way. It's like they're listening more, which is so beautiful.
Yeah. I think every time you get a test or you go to an appointment or you're going to the hospital, you listen to other people's lessons or your what are they called? Instructions.
Yeah.
Instead of listening to your own intuition. And
Yeah.
so,
Well, it's fear-based too, isn't it? Like
Mm.
I even think of the vitamin K injection. I didn't even know that my baby was getting it. I just thought I was doing the right thing. And it's like, well, no, your child actually doesn't even need that vitamin K injection. And that poor baby that's just come out and they're being jabbed with something sharp the first like seconds of their. I just go, oh, now I know what I know. It's pretty crazy.
Yeah, I look back at I guess even our grandmothers and our grandmothers, like I know that they were forced into not having their partners in the room and being medicated for birth and just having all that power stripped away, and now women are really fighting for more power, and the home births are on the rise and free births, and women stepping into that power and owning it, connecting with their innate wisdom of their body.
How good does that feel?
Yeah, it's beautiful.
My dad was out in the car park fixing the matron's car. New cars. And it was like, so the matron was like, I'll give you something to do while we're with here having your baby.
Yeah, it's wild, isn't it? When we know what we know now.
Yeah.
It's so cool.
It's not more important things he could be doing.
Yes.
Oh, well, yeah.
He's a man. He fixes cars.
I think he's
so crazy. Oh my goodness. So we're up to our very last question. It's gone so quickly.
Yes.
And it is a big one, but how do you see the world now? And what do you see next for us moving forward?
I don't know, because I don't keep up to date with like the news, and I know that there are horrible things happening around the world, but I also hold just like a belief and trust that we are going to reconnect with the wisdom and the knowledge that we need to move forward and to look after the earth and each other. It's almost sounds very bad, but like there's a cleansing of things, allowing space so that we can move forward into what we need to.
It's just what you just said, then it's so beautiful because you're speaking your truth, but it's also difficult in the way that we frame being a conscientious person, and what the voice and my feeling that is getting louder is that sending love and peace and nurturing to all beings, whatever the beings are, but doing what's right for you in your space. So you're actually creating a collective energy that is overtaking these disconnected and out of alignment fragments that are happening in the world. But the difficulty is that we kind of have a level of programming where we feel ashamed for that.
Yeah, I was just thinking.
So so
like it's being selfish or something,
it's
but
selfish.
it's complete opposite.
Yeah. So you're kind of what you're sharing really for me is like being in your power and doing what is right in your world. So that basics like as above, so below. Like July is Be Kind month. I don't know who's created Be Kind month, but I like it. And doing what is right for ourselves and doing no harm to others, that immediately creates an incredible harmony and peace, doesn't it?
I think it's infectious as well. It's like I've heard of, when people are meditating all together, it just creates a more collective consciousness that we all can tap into. It's just like, all these little wires that connects us all. So if we can, do little things for our own self-worth and, the meditations and the little steps to heal ourselves, we're starting to heal each other, and that's just going to filter through and help us step forward to the new world.
Oh, I like
Yeah.
that. That was a beautiful way to round
Thank
this
you.
off
Mm.
with those words. I hope our listeners were all getting that and feeling the good vibes there about looking after ourselves more to create more.
And the meaning of your name is, would you like to share?
Love.
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 Yeehaw. Well, we will
It's a
put all of
beautiful Mhm.
Araha's information at the bottom of the podcast in the show notes, as well as the Nurtured Beginnings website. If you want to find out more about that.
Your work yourself as well too, isn't it?
Yes.
You have a clinic space.
I work from home, yeah. So I do have a little, I'm just in my little healing space here. I also wanted to share these 3 cards that I
Oh,
found
yes.
on the floor. So my got my drum out and my cards out the other night with my son, and I just like shuffled them all on the floor just to, how how a toddler would want to play with cards. Anyway, I had 3 cards that literally tucked underneath the rug, and I only spotted just as I was sitting down. So
Oh, wow.
the first one is harmony.
Oh, how beautiful.
Second card is courage. And the third card was sharing.
Oh,
I
that's
love
so beautiful. That was basically what the whole podcast was about.
Oh, we need the 4th one, space.
That is so beautiful.
I love it. Those are gorgeous cards too, Aroha.
Yeah.
I knew I could sit down and just like relax because I knew that we were all divinely guided and held by source.
Yeah, it
Oh.
feels like we could just have a whole day of actually just, like it's time to bring out like something yummy to eat and just like,
Some soup, some warm soup. Yeah.
Mm.
Thank you so much, Araha, and give our love to Bree as well.
Yeah, thank you for sharing space.
Thank you.
Bye.